Morning, guys. I'm going to close out the agenda. We don't really need it today. Pretty straightforward. It's going to be a review of your DNAs because I'll be posting the quiz at 10:30. Hi, Ryan. Hi, Azra. Hi, Ava. Hi, Downey. Next week's going to be a little different, but we'll have our quiz today. I'm going to post the quiz on Thursday next week. That's what Mr. Hellman's doing. I think that's how I'm going to do it too. 3 DNAs and a quiz. Seems to be the better way to go. I don't want to mix up quiz days, so I don't want to go into the next week's. So just 3 DNAs. Fortnite Travis Scott concert? What in God's name is that? Is Fortnite still a thing? It is? I thought a game would have come by and knocked it out already. Alright. So I finally got things set up. Our DNA this week is focusing on other objects in the solar system besides planets. Not as much as it was. Okay. So primarily focusing on dwarf planets, the first couple questions, and then later on in the week talking about asteroids, comets, and then comparing asteroids and comets. Because dwarf planets are just planets that have other objects near them. So hopefully that was pretty straightforward. But what's an asteroid, what's a comet? You heard the words before, but you haven't really defined them. That's something that I wanted to focus on. So while we were doing Planet of the Solar System, we were also talking about other objects in the solar system to help broaden your knowledge. And I can't really quiz you on individual planets because you're all researching your own. So now that we kind of saw examples of each planet yesterday and you've done research on your planet, next week's DNAs are going to focus on trends among the planets. So how mass impacts gravity and then how mass impacts rotation speed. So you found out a lot of those outer planets have very, very fast rotational periods compared to the Earth. Well, how does mass impact that? Is what I want to look at. And then distance from the sun and temperature should have a negative relationship. The further from the sun, the colder you are. So as you increase in distance, you decrease in temperature. Except it doesn't work for one of those planets, and I want to talk about that planet next week. So a couple of weird things amongst the planets, or why certain things exist, will be the DNAs for next week. Also next week, starting a new assignment on exoplanets, so planets around stars, but just not our solar system. You guys will be able to pick one of 3 assignments that you want to do. It's either a research-based CER, it's a pre-designed experiment, or it is a theoretical engineering, theoretical prototype blueprinting project. All right, so you can pick one of those 3. The one thing is, for the experiment, you need certain materials in order to do it. So this is my workaround of trying to get you guys to do something hands-on at home without the materials. There's no guarantee. So if you don't have these materials, you can't do the experiment portion, but you can do one of the other projects. And so you need a cereal box, a CD, or DVD. I don't know if a game disc would work too, but some that you're okay with possibly getting scratched. So something old that you don't use that is a disc, and then tape and scissors. So if you have a cereal box, a disc that you're not afraid of getting scratched, possibly, not guaranteed, you might be careful enough, and then scissors and tape, you might be able to make a spectrometer and be able to look at different wavelengths of light from different sources. All right, that'll be part of the experiment. But again, you need those materials if you're going to do what we're going to talk about next week. So this week, the DNA's Monday, talking about Pluto. Let me go back in time. What is the classification of Pluto? Which criteria of being a planet does Pluto fail? So if we go back to this Monday's DNA, there are 3 criteria to being a planet. It has to orbit the sun. It has to be spherical under its own gravity, so it has to have a lot of mass. And then it also has to clear orbit neighborhood of other similar objects. All right. Pluto orbits the sun. It's spherical, but it has other dwarf planets in its location. So other objects similar in mass. Remember, Pluto is smaller than the moon. So there are spherical objects smaller than the moon, like Ceres too, but exist where Pluto is. And those other planets, other objects, if you go back to visualizing the solar system, come on, there we go. Neptune, we have Pluto, we have Arakoth, which was a Kuiper Belt object nicknamed Ultima Thule a couple of years ago. Looks like a bowling pin. We have Makemake, Humeamea. Eris is out there a little further. So Pluto is in this region of other smaller spherical objects, or asteroid-like things, Kuiper Belt object, KBO, that is in its neighborhood. So Pluto fails it. Pluto's therefore a dwarf planet. So we gave a new name for objects that fail criteria 3, dwarf planet. Okay? So that was Monday. Hopefully that's pretty straightforward. Goodbye. Tuesday. Describe and define an asteroid. Think about the definition of a planet and what criteria it would not pass. Oh, I shouldn't have erased my criteria of the planet. Ah, there we go. I'll fix that. It's back. Looking at some of these pictures. So here's Eros. Looks like it has eyes. No, that's that was Psyche. This is Eros with the lobes. Different types of asteroids: M types, C types, S types, metals, carbon, rock, silicate types, right? Different types of them. This was the asteroid Apophis, which astronomers were worried about maybe small chance, like a 3% chance of hitting the Earth in 2037. They found out through radio experiment that it was not going to hit the Earth. But why does it appear different in each picture? Because it is rotating as it's moving through space in its orbit, and it's an irregular object. It's not spherical, so it looks like it's changing shape, but it's not. And then Ceres itself is a dwarf planet, but it is in the asteroid belt. So you guys love to complain. Make a quiz on an academic day? I made a quiz on an academic day. Quiz academics. Those two don't go together? Keep in mind, technically it said nothing new on Friday. That's why I posted it on Friday. However, I'm going to be changing for next week. So, like I already said, if you woke up before 10 o'clock, Rainy, Downey, tell him. But back to being an asteroid. Which one does it fail? Well, does it clear the neighborhood of other similar objects? No, it doesn't. There's other asteroids with the asteroids in the asteroid belt. Is it spherical? One of them was as an example, but are most of them spherical? No. So asteroids are irregular shaped rocks that orbit the sun between, and if we check back here again, there's Psyche, there's Eros, there's Ceres, Vesta is another asteroid. These asteroids are between Mars and Jupiter. Good job, Downey. Between Mars and Jupiter. Irregular shaped rocks that orbit the sun between Mars and Jupiter. And that's the definition I would use. You can go in detail and say they're made out of different things, like some of them are M types, small percentage, have a lot of iron, nickel, other rare metals. Most are carbon or C types, and then there is a middle amount of S types, Rockies. This is for an asteroid, yes. Tuesday's question. So what's a comet? I'm just clearing out my board, but keeping the definition of a planet. There we go. Define a comet. Images of comets are attached below to help you visualize them against asteroids. So taking these pictures and thinking about those pictures, right? What's the differences to kind of help you think of a definition? And the last question this week was, again, what's the difference? So this is Halley's Comet, a very famous comet, because it appears pretty common in that it's regular. So Halley's Comet will come every 80 some years. Hale-Bopp comes every 3,000 years. You'll never see it. I got to see it in the 90s. It's pretty cool. Should have been there. And Comet Tempel 1 is in orbit around the solar system. It's even marked right here. It's kind of like coming in and around the asteroid belt. Temple 1 is further away from the sun. Because it's further away from the sun, it has no tail. So these have tails because they're pretty much right next to the sun, or as close to the sun as they're going to get. Right? And we're going to talk about why they have those tails. Whereas this guy is further out. It's in the past the asteroid belt, now moving into the asteroid belt. Maybe it starts getting a tail at some point. But no tail. It's so far away. Why does Halley's Comet look fake? What do you mean it looks fake? How does this look fake? It's zoomed in a lot with a poor camera. I'll give you that. But you can look at the background stars for a second, right? There's the size of the stars. And then look at the background stars for Hale-Bopp. Really, really bright, zoomed in stars. Less stars in the picture. That means this picture is really zoomed in. And this picture is not as zoomed in. Like, there's even trees right there, right? The tail on this thing was so big. It took up like a quarter of the sky. Or as my, like, 7, 8-year-old mind pictured, a quarter of the sky. This thing is impressive and it's regular, but look at the stars, right? They give you a size of reference. Like I said, you should have been there. You were 10 years... Yeah, about a little less than 10 years too late. Which is why I always fall for when scientists or astronomers say a comet's coming and they say it's going to be really cool. Like that happened a couple of years ago. They said it was going to be a really big tail. No. A lot of them don't produce big tails. Alright? So back to comets. Right? Do they clear the orbit of other similar objects? No, they cross the orbits of other objects. They literally go in large oval orbits. So their job is about going into the sun, around the sun, and back out again, not caring in what path they're crossing. So, no. Fails number 3. Are they spherical? Well, hard to tell. They're very bright. I mean, the tip looks spherical, right? But if we zoom in on the nucleus of a comet, they're again irregular. So they're not spherical. Do they orbit the sun? Yeah. So the definition is similar between an asteroid and a comet, but there's little details that I want you to look for that are different. Alright, so they both orbit the sun. Great. They're both irregular. Okay. They don't clear other objects. But asteroids have a more circular orbit, and then comets have a more oval orbit. Alright, and plus comets make a tail. I don't pity you that much. Like Downey said, it's only 8 questions. So anyway, definition of a comet. Irregular shaped object that is made of a lot of ice and orbits in an extreme oval. When it nears the sun, the ice explodes, leaving a tail. Or leaving debris is what I'm going to say. So bits of rock. Leaving debris or bits of rock. And that's what's going to form the tail, because those rocks are going to reflect sunlight. Okay? So it's an irregular shaped object that is made of a lot of ice and orbits an extreme oval. When it nears the sun, the ice explodes, leaving debris, reflects the sunlight and makes a tail. Okay? So you got to picture like a comet. Is irregular. There's ice under the surface. The sun produces energy. The ice under the surface is going to explode. And that's going to leave bits of rock. And it's obviously going to rotate, so it's going to spin around and produce rock and leave rock in its path. Okay? Well, as this rock leaves path, it's going to reflect sunlight and make the tail. Okay? No sunlight, no tail. Alright? Because it's a lot of ice. Asteroids, not as much ice. Plus, asteroids aren't like dive bombing into the sun. Alright? What I mean by dive bombing, like here's the sun, and then, here's like the orbital path of a comet. The Earth is circular. Alright, so a lot of doodles everywhere. If you have questions, speak up as I go. But I'm going to go over now similarities and differences because that was the last question of the week. That was yesterday. Alright? Don't need the comet pictures. So now, yesterday, compare and contrast an asteroid to a comet. Find one similarity and one difference between the two objects. Use Tuesday and Wednesday to help you, either the pictures or your definitions. So, similarities. They orbit the sun. They are both not spherical. They are both irregular. They have no standard shape. Okay? So, they orbit the sun, and they're irregular shaped. Actually, so you can see it, I'll write it out for you. Oh, I'm not. You know what? Yeah, just delete it. Alright, so, similarities and differences. Asteroid, comet. Orbit, sun, irregular shape. Orbit, sun, irregular shape. Similarities. Okay? Asteroids. Orbit between Mars and Jupiter. Comets. They come from beyond Neptune. We call that the Oort cloud. Even past the Kuiper belt. Come from beyond Neptune. Go around the sun. And they go back. Alright? So, asteroids have a more regular orbit. Comets a little more extreme. Alright? So the shape of this orbit is circular. They're both elliptical, but asteroid's a little more circular. And orbit is an extreme oval around the sun. Okay, so there's two differences, right? Where they come from, and then their orbits. The third thing is what they're made out of. Mostly rock and metal. Lots of ice. Lots of ice means that when they get close to the sun, they explode, and that little bits of rock make a tail. Only when near the sun. And because they don't dive bomb to the sun, they don't get near the sun, and they don't even have ice, there is no tail for an asteroid. Alright? So probably the most striking difference is going to be the tails. Why do they have tails, though? You got to remember, ice with the comet, little ice with the asteroid. Okay? They both orbit the sun, they both have irregular shapes. They're part of the solar system, and they're irregular rocks. Typically, comets are a little smaller than asteroids, but we haven't seen all the comets in the solar system because most of them are way, 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 way beyond Neptune. Any final questions? It is 10:30. Why does there have to be a quiz today? Because I gave you questions. It's like 8 questions, not that bad. Exactly right. Johnny, get with the group or leave. No, I'll kick you out. No. Miss Krupka's asking, do we have a quiz today? Miss Krupka's not watching the stream. Yes, we do. No, because I want to finish and be done already. Oh, that's a great attitude. So you tell me you want me to post it? You tell me you want the quiz? Alright. Since you want it so bad, I'll give you the quiz. Yeah? Alright. See? Now I got you guys to beg for the quiz. Alright, DNA quiz number 24. Did I do this right? This is number 24. There we are. Yep. Yeah? Posting it? Alright. Quiz is posted. Refresh Classroom if you don't see it. Good luck. Submit when you are done. Do I... Should I pull up the form summary? Let me see if I can find it. I got a million tabs open. Bunch of your work. Remember, you guys got to turn it into the solar system in your weekly sheet. I mean, that's kind of a given. There we are. So while you guys are kind of working, if people haven't heard because they came in late or whatever, not mentioning names like Jacob Rainey, but the quiz next week, I'm going to change the form up a little bit. Technically speaking, I'm not wrong by posting the quiz today. Because it's nothing new, no new information. I'll be posting the quizzes on Thursdays. I'll only have 3 DNAs. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We'll review, take the quiz on Thursday. Plus, though, that means that we're going to do other work on Thursday. Friday, I'll have a review stream or, I don't know, some version of a fun Friday. While you guys are working, you know, if you can think of anything that you would want to do on a fun Friday, distance-wise, you know, you let me know. Like an activity, a game, video/movie, whatever you guys can think of. Maybe through Google Meet. I think if we're not reviewing and you don't have work to do, you know, seeing each other would be a good idea. Like you guys seeing each other. Fortnite, yeah, I don't think so. I was trying to see though if there was like multiplayer browser games. If there are school appropriate multiplayer browser games, then hey, it could be part of a fun Friday. Check for me. No. I'll leave it up for everybody. They're all blocked, even on your Chromebook still, on your own Wi-Fi? Gym kit? What's that? Shell shocker? I'm gonna say no. I googled it. You guys gotta think like more away from the theme of shell shocker. Gym kit, live quiz gaming, live quiz learning game. Created by a high school student. Oh, that's cool. Students answer questions at their own pace. They earn money. Oh, it could be G-Bucks. What do you do with your money? Shop. Students can reinvest their money by purchasing upgrades and power-ups. Like what? Like what do you mean an upgrade or power-up? Gym Kit Pro, Gym Kit Basic. What's the difference between Pro and Basic? Live games, assignments, classes, no advertisements. Pro, oh, come on. I just want to click on Pro. Unlimited kits, unlimited edits. Remember we were playing Nitro Type a little while ago. Something like that, where people can join in, play against each other. That'd be cool. What do you mean, come on? Seven responses so far. Nothing below a 7. So if you can think of things like Nitro Type or something like that, that'd be cool. You keep saying gym kit, but like it says, doesn't say it allows unlimited kits. Alright, let me sign up and see what it's like. It's not working as I click it. I'm trying to click it. Says Jake Rainey next to it. I don't know if a Google form lies. Again, make sure you get Tour of the Solar System in. Make sure you get your weekly sheet in. 1 point for turning in on time. Adhering to a deadline. Someone out there watching you. Working with you in person to rate your learner qualities. There's a lag on the stream, so you can't really use the stream to figure out what you got. Wait until you see what you get in Aspen. And then Monday, if you feel you gotta revise, you send an email. I tell you what to focus on. Bye, Eric. You're struggling to stay positive? Positive in what? Well, I mean, the average is close to a 7. Median's a 7. Bye, Ryan. Have a good weekend. Thank you. Bye, Downey. Have a good weekend. Thanks. I can't go into the forum and find out what you got without showing everybody's grade. Stop spamming that sad face. Gonna put you in timeout. So I'm gonna end it in a little bit. Our average is around a 6. It's kind of skewed a little bit. But I'll predict by the end of today, the average will be closer to a 7. Our median will be a 7. Just seeing if there's any low scoring ones. Everybody got the first question. Most people got question 3. Most got question 2. Just a few wrong. Yep. Shape of a comet's orbit. That seems to be causing the most issue. The right answer is the clear majority one that's being answered, but the others are getting equal answers, which means you got to be a little more careful in your options and think about what we talked about. I even took some possible options out. Some of the later questions. I misspelled do. D-U-E instead of D-O. Which of the following do asteroids and comets both have in common? I think people are misreading number 7. I think I'm actually going to change that answer. Well, I'll just change the wording. So no questions are really bad. It's just making little mistakes here and there. Make sure you guys are thinking carefully. "20 of you responded, so that's about a little under a quarter of the team. Alright. Well, we're just taking the quiz. Monday's a new week. Pretty sure it's just you, Rainy. Have a good weekend. If any of you have questions on Tour of the Solar System, because you haven't turned it in yet, let me know. You should be a mod in the chat, huh? Yeah, but I heard you have to have 100 G-Bucks. Alright, Jacob. Have a good weekend. Anybody still watching, have a good weekend. See you Monday.